Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Three-team Warriors proposal would move Wiggins and more to Heat for $146 million star. The Golden State Warriors have assets to make a trade this offseason, giving them an opportunity to pair Stephen Curry with a new co-star. In a massive three-team proposed trade by Andy Bailey of Bleacher Report, the Warriors would send Andrew Wiggins and more to the Miami Heat and Orlando Magic. The headline of the deal would be Jimmy Butler being traded to the Warriors. This may not reopen Golden State's title window for long, but it would open it pretty wide. Durability is a concern, but Butler was arguably a top 5 to 10 player in 2022-23 and a borderline top 20 player this season, Bailey wrote on May 31. His cutting, playmaking and passing would be a nightmare to cover with Curry and Thompson flanking him. He and Green could form the basis of a potentially nightmarish defense. If he were to play to the peak of his powers in 2024-25, accounting for the natural decline that comes with age, of course, he'd be the second-best teammate Curry's ever had, behind Kevin Durant, of course. The Miami Heat haven't finalized an extension with Butler, which has caused some trade speculation. Anthony Slater of The Athletic wrote that if the Heat do make Butler available, he expects the Golden State Warriors to enter the conversation. If the Heat shop Jimmy Butler, I would expect the Warriors to enter the conversation to at least some degree, Slater wrote on May 30. John Hollinger of The Athletic wrote on May 2 that Butler's declining play and constant absences have caused loud whispers that his future might be elsewhere. Jimmy Butler is extension eligible, but between his declining play this season and the constant absences, there are increasingly loud whispers that his future might not be in Miami, Hollinger wrote. Landing Butler in a proposed deal from Bailey would see the Golden State Warriors make a huge deal. However, with Curry only getting older, it could be the right decision to push all their chips in. Moving Wiggins, Moody, and Podziemski would be tough to replace. Wiggins, when at his best, is one of the top defenders in the NBA. Moody and Podziemski have shown well during their young careers, and moving young players for a short title window could always come back to hurt them. However, Butler's still a 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA selection, and has made 5 All-Defensive teams during his career. During the playoffs, he's made a name for himself by elevating his game to a high level, averaging 26.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists during the 2022-23 playoffs. The 34-year-old will turn 35 at the start of the 2024-25 season, but could help take the offensive load off Curry in the regular season. Butler would also give the Warriors another proven playoff performer, helping them to chase another ring. Heat lifer shakes fans, with Allen Iverson hypothetical. Allen Iverson to the Miami Heat? That's the hypothetical scenario that Heat Vice President of Basketball Development Udonis Haslem shared with NBA fans on the latest episode of the OG Show, which he hosts with former NBA sharpshooter Mike Miller. Haslem, speaking then to Heat assistant coach Karen Butler, another NBA alum, revealed that he was shook up when he heard about the possibility. Not because he'd get the chance to play with the future Hall of Famer, but because he was almost included in the trade package for him. I remember my name was in the hat one time, Haslem begins. We was talking about making a move for Iverson and my name got thrown in the hat a little bit. I was all shook up and *****. But D-Wade was like, man, that's Allen Iverson. I think whatever reason, that didn't work. I don't know if the dynamics with him and Dwayne would have worked at that time. So I think dynamically, it didn't work, but my **** was almost out of here. And how can I argue if you bring in Allen Iverson? It's unclear when the Heat devised their plan to pair Iverson with Dwayne Wade. However, the Georgetown product was traded from the Philadelphia 76ers in December 2006. 2 years later, the Denver Nuggets traded him to the Detroit Pistons, but he was firmly out of his prime. That being said, it was probably the 2006 to 2007 season, but could have been either one. Notably, the Heat went 15 to 67 in 2007 to 2008. Iverson, then with the Nuggets, averaged 26.4 points, 7.1 assists, and 2.0 steals per game. It's not surprising that Haslam would have been discussed as a trade piece. At the beginning of his career, the Florida native defended well and could stretch the floor. In 2006 to 2007, he averaged 10.7 points and 8.3 rebounds per game, producing at a respectable rate. Furthermore, when both the Nuggets and Pistons acquired Iverson, they gave up a big man. Denver traded away former number 1 pick Joe Smith. Detroit included former number 2 pick Antonio McDyess in their trade package. Both teams also gave up savvy, heady point guards. In the Nuggets' case, it was Andre Miller. The Pistons traded away Chauncey Billups, a player so smart that he's now an NBA head coach. If the Heat were seriously involved in trade discussions, this likely would have led them to move Jason Williams. Williams, fondly remembered as White Chocolate, was a sweet ball handler with a flashy playmaking style. For big men, the Heat could poach from division rivals in free agency. The power forward position used to give us memorable matchups. In the early 2000s, this position was at its peak, with players like Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Amare Stoudemire, Pau Gasol, Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, and others attempting to snatch the crown from Tim Duncan. Today, Giannis Antetokounmpo holds the power forward mantle, but the talent pool isn't as deep as it was in the 2000s. The center position is probably the deepest when discussing the all-time greatest players. The 5 spot is so talented that 3-time MVP winner Moses Malone isn't a top 5 center. He's behind colossal greats like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Nikola Jokic. The centers in today's game are far from all-time standards, but Jokic, Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis are growing the position, showcasing how critical versatility is. The Heat won't be able to grab a big man of this caliber this offseason, but some division rivals pique my interest. The surprise team of the league this season was easily the Orlando Magic. They pushed the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games and won the Southeast Division for the first time since 2019. This was a pivotal year in their rebuild, and Goga Bitadze, with his dependable play and key, was a significant factor in their success. He stepped up when Wendell Carter Jr. was out of the lineup. He played so well that some Magic fans proclaimed he should be the permanent starter. He averaged 9 points and 6 boards over an 11-game stretch at the end of December. You knew what you were getting with Goga. Those aren't eye-popping numbers, but that can work behind Bam. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Goga Bitadze? Leave your opinion in the comments.